so this is what resulted. And whether it's good or not, I mean, the city's going to say, look at, this is wonderful. We don't have a whole bunch of old rich people living in a property that could be better used by the community. And if you think about American culture, it's very individualistic. And so this is a company that made money when in fact most of the people in the city would say, this is exactly what we want. We don't want to have a little private enclave with old people with a lot of money living here. We want to have a nice facility that has more hotel rooms for the city, that attracts more business, so that everybody can prosper, right? So you can argue this, you know, from a number of different perspectives. But here you got 6 or 7 old people that say, this is what we want to have, right? Whether that's right or not. Well, they own the property, right? So then the question is, are you a collectivist or are you an individualist? Do you think that if someone owns property, they can do with it what they want? Or do you think that the government should take it over? And there are cases in the United States where the government says, you own this property, but it'd be better served that the community takes it over. And they actually take over some private property on occasion. But they have to justify it. It can't just be financial. It has to be some other issue going on, right? And that's the different cultures, collectivist versus individualistic, right? And that's one of the things also that you should learn, that people think differently, right? And you can look at this and say, this is a good deal. In fact, most of you got deals out of this. And most of you say, with business, let's do good business. Well, you know, I'm a capitalist. I think doing good business is a really good thing to do. I think that it's a really good system. But I also sit back and I also don't think that these people should sit on a property that would be best used by the community. But again, you know, you can respect their rights of ownership. And then you figure out where you want to draw the line. And you guys have to figure out where you draw the line. Where do you draw the line on ethics? Where do you lie? Where do you tell little lies? Somebody was asking me about, what was the phrase that was in being hard on some ethical. I gave the example, well, if your girlfriend asks you, do I look fat in this, right? You say, no, of course not. You look wonderful, right? And you might be thinking, well, you look fat in that. You know, so when do you lie, right? Who knows when you lie, right? But there are certain places where you don't lie. So I have a question.
Yeah, in the real street, did James had a real apartment or not?
Yeah, I think he had one of these things for a while, but then he died. So.
It was real.
Excuse me?
Is that real?
I think so. I just remember this, and I haven't taken a look at this. I'll send you the URLs to this. You can read the details.
Okay.
Yeah. What else? Any other questions? So, in summary, this class was an introduction to international negotiating, and it was a learn by doing class, right? Your preparations analysis. I'm going to be still be looking at these things. This is, by the way, the first time I've ever collected them so religiously and with the expectation of giving them back to you immediately. Usually I collected them at the very end and then giving them back to you, you know, giving back to students at the very end. But there's 45 of you, and just from logistics I just screwed up, right? But I'll get them back to you. But this is a learn by doing class, right? We could have talked about negotiations, and we could have talked about the theory. I could have had you read material, and we could have had discussions. But I think it's much, much more valuable for you to actually have sat down and tried to do some negotiations with people, either other Finnish students, or German students, or people from a different culture. Yes?
Can you tell us what are you going to do with all the data from the surveys? Are you going to write a book or?
Okay, but here's the idea. I've collected now for 3 years worth of data. And one of the questions that I have is, have you changed your position on some of the issues of negotiations?